Without further ado, I would like to introduce our main speaker tonight. Hiten Shah is the co-founder of KISSmetrics and Crazy Egg, and it comes from a unique perspective that really combines deep knowledge of content marketing, but also analytics. And I think that's something that really sets him apart from analytics experts and content marketing people, that he is really combines both together in a unique way. And we're really excited to have him here to speak tonight. So let's give him a warm round of applause and welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to set up, and I've got some questions while I'm setting up. How many of you are here that work at Zendesk? 1, 2, 3. Okay, a few. Awesome, great. Hi, thank you for having us. How many of you are founders who are a little crazy like me? All right, cool. How about engineers? Cool, and you can raise your hand more than once, it's okay. How about marketers? All right, cool, room full of marketers, wonderful. All right, how about designers? Okay, all right. How about none of the above? I might pick on you, so you better watch out if you raise your hand right now. All right, shout out who you are, what you do. All right, forgot that one. Damn. Sales, okay. Finance stuff, all right. What was that? Awesome. Evangelism, okay. Anybody else? I think you raised your hand, right? In red over there? Maroon? No, you didn't? Okay, cool. Oh, investors. Can't forget them. All right, cool. Not too many. Good. We're doing good. Except the sponsors. That's cool. That's why we're here, right? All right, let me get this working. I got a fancy clicker too that I carry around. Got a laser pointer so I can pick on people. Ah, there it is. So while I still keep setting up, it'll work. I promise. I'm a pro. I want to make sure all of you know that you should be able to walk away, maybe except the investors, with something actionable. And if you don't, then I didn't do my job. This is not about me. This is about all of you. So make sure you ask a question if you have a question. I'll make sure there's enough time, and I'm sure the organizers will as well. So I'm going to get started, I think. Yeah. All right, let me see if this thing works. Yeah, great. I don't need that. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Oh, great. Perfect. Questions, right? Oh, there we go. All right. So I already did what I was going to do and ask all of you stuff. So my presentation is already on SlideShare because that's what a good marketer does, right? Yeah. So it's there, that URL, kiss.ly/conmarket, because we're all con artists as marketers. Kidding. So I put it up there. I don't want all of you to skip ahead or anything, but you might, and that's okay. But it's more to follow along in case you want to. There's also links and stuff. I only have about 60 slides. Normally for a roughly 45-minute talk, I'd have double the slides for the amount of minutes because I talk really fast and it's about 30 seconds a slide. So I'm going to try to talk slower today, and I'm going to try to go more in depth, and hopefully you guys have questions as well. So I've been doing business on the web for 12 years. For those of you that don't know me or don't know of me or haven't heard me speak somewhere, these are the 3 products I primarily work on right now. There's one more new one I'm not going to talk about. It's actually related to content marketing, but we won't get into that. And I've just been finding and solving problems for marketers since 2003. And there's one company in here that we first started, my co-founder and I, is called ACS, or was called ACS, and it was basically a marketing consultancy. where we would help people with SEO and social media and stuff like that. And that's really where I got my sort of start on the web. It was right out of college for me. And yeah, I only know how to start things and hopefully grow them. So marketing, the funnel. This is a cartoon. I found it. I started looking up marketing, and I was like, oh, like there's this cool funnel, and it talks about how shady all of us are. But anyways, it's funny. It's really good. I think marketing is awesome because you can just keep making fun of yourselves. And I promise I'll get into something more valuable than just that. But anyways, I'm going to leave that up for a second before I move on. But really, it was in an article where they showed that first, and then they showed this thing, which is actually something one of my favorite people drew. His name's Ben Chestnut. He runs MailChimp, and he basically hates marketing. Don't quote me on that. He'll probably hate me for saying that or not. I went and visited him, and just everything they do is really marketing in a big way, but they think of it a lot differently. So they think of it about kind of loving your customers and basically flipping the funnel around and concepts like that. And if you read his post and you're used to like a traditional funnel, you might actually even think he's full of shit. But he's not, and I'm living proof that he's not, and I'm going to prove that. So I did some math, and this is up till like sometime last year backwards. So there's still even more visits that we've had on our sort of B2B sites, including our blogs and our main websites. But these are all properties that of businesses I've started. So it is my stuff. So it's 41 million visits, and a lot of it is compounded over the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. So a lot of it is more later, just because it's easier than ever to get traffic. But hopefully, I'll talk something about that in a second. So content marketing. This is from Google Trends. I'm assuming you're marketers, so you all know what Google Trends is. It's this cool thing where you type in keywords and it tells you this gives you graphs with no numbers though, except the dates. Anyways, Google, thank you. So content marketing is on an upswing. It is very clear from this graph, but it's been around for a very long time. So that's kind of, I think, really important to note. And I'll bring this chart back later. And so basically, what I'm here to talk about is about 7 lessons that I've learned, and they're kind of compounded, lots of information, and hopefully we can get through them. So the first is, I believe all content is marketing, and all marketing is content. And the reason I say that is when I look around and look at all the things that as marketers we have to go deal with, it's all content. We're creating content constantly. There's ads we're creating. There's tweets. There's shares. There's PPC campaigns. There's things like this slide deck, which are technically marketing. There's white papers. And emails. Can't forget emails. So I think the one lesson that I've learned is that all the marketing we do, there's content in it. There's words we have to create, images we have to create, and basically we're all putting something in front of people, and content is basically what you have, even videos and things like that. So the basic lesson, I'm starting off really simple. This is another thing that I've been sort of starting to think about a lot, which is as marketing gets sort of more measurement oriented and we're able to actually track things and things like that, how do we split up the creative side of it as marketers and think of it in the right way? So the way I would put it, since all marketing is content, in my opinion, the art of marketing is the idea of creating better content, and the science of it is being able to measure its performance so we can create better content. I love this super graphic. Does any of you seen this before? Yeah. Cool. Okay, great. Just making sure. So I put it in all my talks on marketing because there's a lot of tools out there now that we have to deal with, and very interesting that there's a lot of tools out there that we have to deal with. I just find it like this explosion of tools that a marketer has to think about, things that they can use. So I first wanted to start off by giving some tips around how to look at the information that you get in some of these tools. So, and I've got a little framework because marketers create frameworks. That's what I learned. So if you're looking at Google Analytics and you're just looking at sort of your landing pages, let's say, an easy way to find opportunities for improvement are finding high traffic pages that have a high bounce rate. Because they have a high bounce rate, that means people are leaving really fast. So it's a really simple trick. And the whole goal of this is that, like, I've seen so many interfaces with so many of these kind of tables. I'm sure all of you have. And it could be kind of confusing. So I'm going to give some more examples. So another one, this is a tool called Unbounce. I'm sure some of you are familiar, if not all of you. And in that tool, they have a table and it has a bunch of stats. So what I do there is I look for high traffic pages that have a low conversion rate. Because again, that's an opportunity to test, an opportunity to add variations, an opportunity to improve and grow. This is HubSpot. They have a channel report, just like many other tools. So here you're looking for high traffic, low conversion rate. And then you'll know what you need to improve, what you need to test. But what I'm excited about is this thing I made up, which is this framework. So I was actually speaking at a HubSpot's conference, and I was talking about this, and I had more slides about this, and then someone came out and said, but they didn't say this. They drew a little diagram that kind of represented this with a pen, and they tweeted it at me. So I decided to make it a slide for all of you. This is my first time showing this slide. Really proud of my framework, but whatever. Like I said, marketers create frameworks. So the way I think about it is, I talked about all scenarios where there's opportunities. So most of the time, they're sort of sitting in the left quadrant, which is low conversions, high traffic. And most campaigns actually start out like that if you do get traffic. But a lot of times you'll have opportunities where it's low traffic, low conversion. All you can do there is get more traffic. So hopefully you can start A/B testing. The bottom right is obviously a good place as well, where you have high conversions, low traffic. So you need to find ways to get more and more traffic from those sources. That's actually one of the more rare scenarios that I've seen. And you want to go up, and then that's the happy dance. So the context of the happy dance and why I call it that is the CEO, Brian, of HubSpot 2 years ago, not 2014, but 2013, got up on stage, and he was so excited about marketing and HubSpot and whatnot. He did a Grateful Dead dance on stage. And I was trying to throw a GIF of it or whatever on my deck, but I couldn't. But anyways, so you do a happy dance if you have high conversions and high traffic, because that means you're growing. Sorry, what's that? I can't do it. I like the Grateful Dead, but I can't do the dance. Nice try. If anybody here wants to do it, you're welcome to come and do the happy dance. But it was good. It was like he got sweaty and like you got to look it up. It's really good. I was there in person, and I was Anyways, they do good marketing. I'll give them that. Lesson number 2. I think we all know this. People do ignore ads, especially because of banner blindness and all that great stuff online, especially. But they love great content, and they'll even search for it. So, second lesson. The problem is people. We all like taking surveys, especially as marketers, because we dish out surveys and make people fill them out often. So only 32% of marketers apparently say they effectively are executing on enough content. How do all of you feel about this, roughly? Anybody think they're doing amazing on content? I'm going to raise my hand just to be that guy. All right, awesome. There we go. Yeah. So, but it's hard work. But anyways, I'll get into that. This is all about helping all of you be able to raise your hands. So I have all these rules, just like frameworks, not too many, but this one was really interesting to create. So the reason I can raise my hand is I think we try to follow this formula as much as possible. So, it is about quality and it is about quantity. I don't believe that you can have only one or the other and successfully grow your marketing. So you have to figure out how to do it. I think it's really important. This point's really important because a lot of times I'll go in and even folks that are doing that you guys might think are doing great marketing, I'm talking to them and they're like, yeah, we just produce more content and we get more traffic and it's great. But like, how do you guys produce such quality content? And I'm like, well, you don't care about quality, and that's okay because it's working for you or you think it is. But at the end of the day, that doesn't build a brand. That doesn't get the direct traffic that you want and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, someone will come in and create content better than you for your audience. Just like someone will create a product better than you for your customers if you're not doing it. So I really believe it is merging these two. Find a way to have high quality and high quantity, and that's how you're going to get eyeballs, especially today when there's already so much content out there. So why not be yet another source that produces a lot of content? I'm joking, it's true. It's okay. Like the quality content always bubbles up because of social and all that kind of stuff. So I can't stress this enough. If anyone has questions about how to do this, I'm happy to share. But the one trick I've used and that we use in our businesses is we start with quality. And then we literally are very deliberate about process. and then we just start breaking apart the process to figure out how to scale it. So you just keep breaking apart more and more into smaller pieces until you feel like it's efficient and it's optimized. It's a job for someone who's really just cares about optimizing and also cares about content quality. Also, I believe content quality is easier to measure than ever before as well. But anyway, so at KISSmetrics, we have 30 plus marketing guides. And it's a pretty low number in my opinion, but I think guides are like basically like white papers. We do repurpose our blog posts because they are pretty long and lengthy and turn them into guides, but it takes some time. But we've got 30. We started out doing those, I think, late 2013. So it's kind of a little bit of a newer thing for us. We've been around for a while. But we have 70 webinars. And I'm going to tell a quick story about our webinars before I move on. I told one of you as I was talking earlier, but like basically, we now do a webinar a week. Before we were doing a webinar a week, we were doing a webinar a month. And the difference between a webinar a month and a webinar a week is a gentleman named Chewy that works at KISSmetrics. And no, you cannot hire him. But the story is interesting because we had an offsite. I believe this was 2013, late 2013. And two of our marketers were driving from like the Mission over to our office in Jackson Square. And they called a Lyft. And they started chatting with the Lyft driver, and his name is Chewy, and we hired him. So he didn't know anything about tech. He's just a sharp guy, somehow convinced them to hire him, and he runs all our webinars. If I do say so myself, he's badass at it. Yeah, once a week, webinars. And I'm sure he could do two, but again, this is a representation of what I mean by how you have quality and quantity and do it. You basically start slow, you figure out where the bottlenecks are, and then you just start pouring either money, time, resources, whatever, at it to make it better. And our resource in this case was Chewy. And so we have comprehensive documentation on how we do webinars, how they come in, what dates need to happen, the cadence and the roadmap for getting one done and all that. And Chewy manages all of that. One person, I would say that's about 70% of his job. So it is a full-time job, but these webinars are driving us lots of leads and are building our brand. Plus, if I do say so myself, the quality is definitely on a bar where I can say, for doing one a week, I'm very happy with the quality. I think we can always be better, but people like them. So, and we get anywhere from, I think, hundreds to, I don't know the exact numbers anymore, but somewhere in the 1,000 range of attendees every time. And I'll talk a little bit more later about how that happens. This is one of my favorite lessons, which is content marketing can be sort of reverse engineered. And I think it's easier than ever. And some of the tools I'm going to talk about make it easier than ever. I got this other rule. This is just figure out what's working, do more of it. This rule is really a rule of marketing for me. So someone earlier, I was on my couch right there, just chilling, and somebody came up to me and they asked me about marketing. He's right there, give me the nod, and it's a startup early in their life cycle. Told me a little bit about the startup, and he's like, "How should I kind of do marketing? What should I be doing? Should I get an advisor? What should I do?" And I asked him this question. I said, "Well, like, what's working?" And he told me what's working. And I just said, why don't you just do more of it? Because it's working. And there hasn't been a single company I've talked to, no matter what size, where if I ask them what's working and they tell me, they argue with me. It's that simple. It's just figure out what's working, do more of it. We all want something new. We all want to think about the channel some competitors using or some crazy webinar, one webinar a week or whatever. But at the end of the day, all of you have something that's working. You just have to figure out how to do more of it before you start thinking about other channels, other things. More importantly, and this is more for this re-engineering, or I mean reverse engineering thing, is this is the corollary, I guess, to it, would be figure out what's working for others, and then imitate it, but don't rip it, please. Yeah, because, and I say that because I tend to have a memory for content, and I can usually tell when someone's ripped someone else's content, even when it's like the same headline formula. That's okay, I mean, that happens, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But anyways, this is what I would say marketing has turned into. It's like it's easy to see how effective someone else's marketing is. It's easier than ever. One of the tools that you probably might not have heard of is called mail charts. Anyone heard of it? Cool, awesome. I used to hack this together. So what I would do is I'd have a random email address and sign up for everything and just watch all the emails that come in, because I want to be inspired by everybody. And if you're going to do email marketing, look at how the best are doing it. And so somebody built a tool where they're basically doing that. You can pay for it and look at anybody's marketing. This one's specifically from LinkedIn's blog. I really like the title of it, actually. It's find people in jobs faster with LinkedIn search, which is very good title in my opinion. But it's a great tool if you're doing email marketing and want to just look at how everyone else is doing it. Unfortunately, you can't get stats. Stats would be better, but that would be very difficult to do. Another one is my co-founder has a blog and he built an analyzer that I have to deal with now, but that's a different story. And it's called quicksprout.com. He's not an engineer. I fake it, and now it's my problem because it's actually working and gets a lot of usage. But basically, you can put in your URL and you get these little cool charts and stuff about how you're doing versus your competitors and a lot of detail on it. It's a website analyzer. There's a bunch of them out there. He's a marketer. He's a little on the edge of everything. He did some crazy Instagram stuff recently. Anybody heard about that? Anyways, good. Don't look at his blog and read about that. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, but we built this thing, and it's very comprehensive, and it's the kind of tools that you can use. So I'll give you some more tools as well. This is very good for like SEO, a little bit of social media, but also just general things around speed and things like that that you have to start caring about when it comes to content. So the other tool is Moz's Open Site Explorer. I'm assuming people know about this. You guys know about this? So it helps you check backlinks, basically, for sites. This is specifically, I put in KISSmetrics.com, and you can figure out everything about how we got a bunch of links. You can figure out what pages they're linking to, where each of these 13,000 links came from, and these 2,500 sites that sent us links. Pretty fucking cool. And it totally changes the way you would do SEO and link building if that was the way to do it anymore. But I'll get into that later. This is a tool called BuzzSumo. It's been buzzing around, so to speak. It's really cool. I think there were a lot of hodgepodgey tools and hodgepodgey ways to do this where you would scrape sites and all that. But now you can literally type in something like content marketing, whatever you want. And I'm using Neil's account, so this has some pro features or whatever. But and then you can see all the content, and you can order it by how many LinkedIn shares, Twitter shares, Facebook shares, or total shares, and you can get inspired. Like the ideal length for all online content from the Buffer blog is like the #1 thing in the past year, piece of content about content marketing. So if I were to write about content marketing today, I might get inspired by that title and write content around that topic, because obviously people are curious about it because they shared it a lot. So I think one of the fascinating things that I had the privilege of like just watching over the last 12 years or whatever is the fact that the social shares a site gets, those are very hard to like fake at this point because it's like social and people have to tweet it, share it, whatever. And so you can literally guess, apples to apples, how much traffic one post or another got. And this wasn't the case before, and we had to do a lot more work to figure out that kind of information. So I think this is one of the reasons why content marketing is also growing, because it's easy to tell what's working and what's not. Another one, this is my favorite one. So my co-founder, Neil, who runs QuickSprout, writes all over the web just because it's a strategy, whatever. So you can type in author : Neil Patel, and you can get all the articles all across the web that he's written and what was popular. So I think he won the most shares by BuzzSumo claimed he won the most shares of last year for all his content. Part of the reason is because he shares on all the, he writes content on all these different sites and they'll post it, and yeah, so it's a strategy, but it's a really cool feature if you want to just see what a specific author writes about and what's popular that they've written. All right, lesson number 4. Headlines are everything. They get people to click. Anybody disagree? Good, because I'm going to prove you wrong if you did. But this is my favorite book. It's called Tested Advertising Methods. Yes, I'm tracking that link, and if you buy it, I will make some money, but it's only for tracking purposes, I promise. Anyway, so John Caples wrote this book, and it has all the headline formulas that you could ever want for writing headlines. Because back in the day, he's like a direct marketer, would send mailers and stuff like that. We're back to that world if we ever left it. And my point is that like they'd write these headlines. I'm sure some of you remember these things in the newspapers and all that, with these big headlines that were really flashy and sometimes kind of deceiving, but whatever. But this is probably the best book I can suggest for anybody trying to do content marketing, because it is all about the headlines. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But like, I love what he says about it. I think he understood this long before most of us. One quick side note on this, it's unrelated and related, but I did some research. If you go to Wikipedia and type in content marketing and find their blog post on it, I'm not their blog post, their page, they said the first content marketing happened in 1891. I forgot what country, and it was somebody trying to sell baking soda, and they gave away recipe books or little recipe pamphlets. Really cool. So it dates back to 1891, at least from what we can tell. And if you think about that, what I find funny is that for a while, I think we ignored this idea of content marketing in that way. But now, if you go look at a lot of the popular blogs, a lot of the things we're doing, even the things we're doing at KISSmetrics and all, it's the same thing. Nothing's changed. We just give away good stuff for free, and hopefully people use our products, right? Another one, this was pretty awesome. 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 will read the rest of your post. Guess how many out of 10 will share your post just after reading it? About 4. But they won't read it. They won't read the post. They'll just read the headline and share it. I am a victim of that, for sure. So tips for better headlines. I wanted to give you some of these. Yeah. Sure. Wait till you see the next one. Wait till you see the next slide. That's right. So if we all collectively decided to stop clicking, then people would stop using those headlines. So these are some tips that are not that tip. So hopefully these are better. But negative words and numbers cause more clicks. Keep things short, just for search visibility. Rules are meant to be broken, or tips are meant to be broken, whatever. We treat these as rules at most of my companies when we create content. Specific headlines that match your content, and that's back to the content quality, even though people will share without reading the content, different story. Odd numbers perform better than even ones. I can usually tell if someone understands content marketing just by how many evens versus odds they have in their titles when they do write that kind of content. Aim to have 6 words in your headlines. Avoid words that have multiple meanings, duh. Include power verbs and interesting adjectives. I think that's where the shocking and amazing thing you were mentioning comes into play. And here's the headline I want to kind of use as a quick case study. So, my co-founder Neil wrote it. He writes a lot of content. And these are his rules. So these are his tips. So he followed 5 out of 7. If you look at the ones that he didn't follow, they're the weakest ones in there, because there are 6 words and the 65 characters, which is important but not that important. Yeah, it really works, and I'm going to prove it again and share some traffic numbers. But for that post he wrote, it was a guest post on the KISSmetrics blog, and well, he's a guest poster, but whatever, because he has his own blog. And it got 20,000 page views, 18,000 unique page views, whatever that means, and people read it for 4 minutes. So yeah, no problem. Sure, just test it. Either you believe me or you test it. I mean, yeah, words. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I know. But the best example is this right here, is that title, and he uses 5. So the theory there is if you use 6 or you used 8, it wouldn't work as good as 5. We tested it a lot. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either believe me or test it. It's just not worth it. Trust me, just do it. Anyways, you can even get into the details of it. Is it 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 47? I mean, anyways, like if I go to my co-founder Neil and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna write a blog post with 11. He's like, hey, can you make it 37? And I'm like, 37? So he knows something I don't know for sure. Anyways, so yeah, he's done that to me. I'm like, I can't do 37, man. Like, anyways. I was mentioning something about quality of content before, and I said it was easier than ever to measure. I think something like time on site or time on page and how long people read something is actually a good indicator of the quality of the content. So yeah, people don't read, but the people that do read, are spending a lot of time. And I think 4 minutes on a blog is, in my experience, a really decent amount of time, especially when you have this much traffic to it and this many shares and whatnot. So yeah, next we're going to talk about search. Oh my God, Google search. Whew. My first company, we did SEO a lot. So yeah, and we had to tell people not to do shady shit, but like that's a different story. We did a lot of that kind of stuff for our own sites, but never for our customers. We had a lot of clients that we did SEO for, but it was really funny. Anyways, combating Google is no fun. So content marketing, this is that little graph, and it really is little compared to SEO. So I think this is really telling. And yes, SEO is on the downswing from before. That's definitely true. And content marketing is kind of on the upswing, but it's still a little baby. So you can either look at this and think, okay, content marketing not that important, or you can look at it and think content marketing just getting started, or a number of other things. The way I see it is that SEO is still important, and I have data. So these are 5 different blogs, data from all of last year, so 2014. They're all in a similar category. I won't tell you the blogs. They're just blog A, B, C, D, E, and you won't be able to figure it out. Like you really won't, but like Paul will probably try. So basically, the blue is search, for those of you that can't see this far, but it's search. And so A, D, and E are all, and even D is basically 50% or more, a lot more search. B is interesting, D is interesting, but I'll get back to that. Direct, so the funny thing about direct is that direct could be anything. So direct is people that are typing it in, but direct is also unattributable. So we've noticed that if you ask people that come direct where they came from, they might say social, they might say search, they might say other things. So I don't put a lot of weight on direct, just in case you guys put weight on it or whatever, except branded direct, where I know it's like somebody that comes from our brand name, because brand growing and all that is always great. Social, you can see that's still not a big chunk, but part of it is because social is merged into direct. But I won't say more because I already did. And then you have referral, which you would think would be higher because that's referrals from other sites, but it's not anymore. Other, which who the hell knows what that is, and email, oh man, email. So I pointed out 2 blogs, and super interesting. And I'm gonna now reveal one of the blogs at least. Hopefully Neil doesn't kill me. So D is actually Neil's blog, quicksprout.com. That's my co-founder. But I'm gonna start with B and talk about it. So B, for some reason, they get a shitload of social traffic, and that's one of the outliers for them. So that's obviously a channel they've either invested in or, I don't know. But actually I do know, but I can't share. So the interesting fact I found here is, although search is #1 for everybody across the board, which is probably the most interesting thing, and I have data, and these are all blogs, but they have social, and social actually is pretty high for them, but they've invested a lot in social. Like you're talking about a company that's very social. Let's just leave it at that. And I'll talk more about QuickSprout. So QuickSprout, have any of you visited quicksprout.com, read a blog post? Have you seen the pop-ups? Do you like them? Yeah, I don't either. And it's kind of my site as well, because now it's my problem, because he's trying to build software, and I guess that's what I do. So 14% of his traffic is from emails, because all of you filled out your email in that pop-up, or many of you did. And you can see none of the other sites have email at all. So it works. It brings people back. Already blogs, people don't come back that often. It just works. And I'll tell you right now, that 14% is low. We're going to probably get close to doubling it soon based on what we're going to do. Yeah, not with pop-ups. Definitely not. Yeah. Yeah. Both. So he has more emails. Emails brings old visitors back. There's no other way they come back outside of like random shit. So this is literally them coming back. If you subscribe, every time he has an email, every time he has a post, he will email you. It's a nice email. It's quick. You want to ignore it. All good. He's been through 6 email service providers already. His emails are in the 6 figures on the blog because of the pop-ups and all that. So it really works. I hate the brand feeling from it, and I think he actually has done less pop-ups now, and we found other ways to collect emails and stuff like that, or get emails. But yeah, it's email, it's repeat visitors, and it's very strong. And it's literally the 3rd channel if you count direct for us over there. Yeah. Yeah, we don't think that's important. Yeah. We've tested that. It hasn't mattered to in our business yet. Yeah. But we haven't been aggressive about testing it either. So infographics. So you might ask, well, how do I get search? And I think this is something that people have opinions on infographics. It's like another one of those things where there's a shit ton of them around. We have 60 plus on KISSmetrics. I think there's more. We might have stopped updating parts of this page. This is our infographics page on the blog. but there's 60 of them. And we actually stopped for a couple of years, which was a bad idea. And I want to give a case study of the first one, because it actually got me on a talk show, or a radio show on the phone or whatever in Canada. But anyways, they asked me about color psychology, which I know jack shit about, except for this infographic. I know all about it because of this infographic. So it's gotten 6,000 tweets, 360 likes, probably more because Facebook does weird shit. A lot of LinkedIn shares as well. And it's one of our oldest posts. And it's also our first infographic. So I'm not necessarily proud of the design or anything like that, but whatever. This is like the full length of it. It's at that URL. So it itself has gotten 1,000 plus backward links from 438 domains. So I'm sure all of you know something about SEO and you know links or what it's all about still. But this one infographic was able to get that many backlinks for us, which also resulted in all of our search traffic because we get a ton of it, but we've had some problems with it lately, which I'll talk about later. And the total blog is only 6,700 backlinks from 1,100 sites. So it's almost over a third of the domains linking to us from that one infographic, which was our first fucking infographic. And so we haven't been able to beat it from that perspective. And then it's like about 15, 16% of our total backlinks. So infographics work. Yes, everyone's probably drowning in infographics or whatever, but they really work. And here's the traffic from it. So you'll notice what's interesting here is about, on average, once a year, there's a spike. Somebody finds it again and says, oh, this is fucking awesome. So obviously it has to be good content, timeless content, right topic, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of people have created these things now, so you can probably look it up. On the BuzzSumo site, you can actually look for just infographics because they're awesome. So yeah, data, good stuff. And lesson 6, before lesson 7, is content helps you tell your story. So this was a very sad day for me. I turned 30 and I realized we had a class action lawsuit with us at KISSmetrics and 25 or 24 of our customers. And I would say that the blog actually helped us get our message and our version of the truth out on it. And if you didn't have a blog and it wasn't popular, you wouldn't have been able to do this, and you'd have to go court a bunch of PR and outlets and stuff like that to get your message out there. We didn't have to do that because we already had a pretty strong blog and we had our audience sitting there. So this really fucking sucked, but it's over now. Then content helps you share customer successes. And if you just look at all the shares here, you'll see that like we're getting like in the hundreds for all this stuff. And then content helps you when you've got a new feature and you want to talk about it. In fact, our customer success, which I thought might have been better because of the title and whatnot, didn't do as well as when we had a new A/B testing report that we launched. And then it gets you so much more. So I think the lesson for me there is like if you can build that audience and get a cadence of like posting and getting traffic, there's just a lot of leverage you get. I mean, one of my other favorite tactics that some people use is they'll write blog posts. So I'm actually going to talk a little bit about my theory of blog posts and conversions because I think we got into it a little bit earlier with this guy. But basically, I don't think, if you guys want some really tactical tips on traffic and conversions on blogs, I don't believe you should try to convert too hard on your blog. There's one caveat I'll talk about in a second until you get about 100,000 page views, uniques, or whatever a month. In most categories, you can achieve that. I'll give the caveat a little bit later. And the reason for that is if you do the math on a blog, and I have data, but like average conversion rate is like 0.25%. So at 100,000 visits, uniques, whatever, 0.25% is about 200 conversions a month. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's when you can start running some A/B testing. You can at least do about 1 test a month. I do believe it's easier than ever to get to that scale. The one caveat I'll say is if you started out doing one specific type of post that I tend to suggest and like, which is a very conversion-oriented post, that post wouldn't be designed for building traffic, but it would be designed for getting you emails of people interested in the problem you're trying to solve for them, or what have you. So in that case, you'll probably get high conversion rates, high opt-in rates to an email or something, especially if you don't ask them to sign up like for your product, but instead you're going to help them or educate them or whatever. And so that's my caveat, which is if you start writing like that at first, it might not build the widest audience, but it'll get you attention and the early adopters, if you want to call it that, into your thing. And then I think after that, those are like posts for conversion. Then there's posts for traffic. So for example, at KISSmetrics, when we write about social media, those posts get way more traffic, like outside of those crazy infographics, but like most of the time when we write about social media, we're blowing it out of the water on the traffic. I think you noticed that with that 5 shocking whatever social media posts. So we know that. So we'll write those for traffic. But when you look at our conversion rates to signups and stuff on those posts, it's really pathetic. So if you're trying to scale content marketing, you need to divide your strategy up into different types of posts with different goals. You don't want to just look at flat out, how's my blog converting across the board? That's the wrong way to do it. And early on, you can start a blog and have high conversions. You're just not going to be building the brand in the same way. So that's kind of the strategy around that. Okay, last but not least, probably one of my favorite topics, and I actually had this as an earlier lesson, and I realized I'm going to go off on it, so I made it the last one. It's about conversions. Content creates conversion opportunities, because if you have traffic, you can get people to do more things, especially if you collect emails as well and things like that. So for us at KISSmetrics, because of the content marketing, by the way, at KISSmetrics right now, I'll give you some stats. We have, I think, 90 to 95% of our leads are coming because of the blog. So we don't really do much of anything else. We don't do much paid or anything. That's changing. Every time we try, we realize we go back to what we know because the ROI is just way higher on us blogging at this point. Number two, I get asked this question a lot from large companies and small companies is, how big is your team? So we have, for most of the life of the company, we only had 2 people in marketing. Now we have about 5 because we have Chewy who does the webinars and a few other folks. The key to our thing, and I usually put him in a slide, is this gentleman named Sean Work. He's our editor of the blog, and he really gives a shit about the readers. So the reason our quality is where it is not me, not my co-founder. We do care, but it's actually him, and he's the filter. An example is if I want to write something for the blog, and he says he doesn't like it, it doesn't get published. So he has full authority and rights on the blog as the editor to decide what goes on and what doesn't. Another tidbit, which is kind of odd, but our blog is also 80 to 90% driven by guest posts. So people that are freelance writers in some cases, people that are customers, or people that just want access to our audience that are writing for us. But then the gate is Sean Work, who will make sure the content is as good as it can be for our audience. He really cares about the audience. He is a marketer. He actually used to work with us at our consulting company and understands all this stuff. So that's been the key to our success. If you wanted the trick, which is not really a trick because you got to find a Sean Work. Yeah. We've tried both. So early on, we realized we couldn't do all the content. Sean, I'd say, is not a bad writer, but that's not the best use of his time. He's better at editing, and he's really good at that, and titles and all that stuff. So what we did is we just started, again, you can re-engineer content, right? Or whatever word I used before, but reverse engineer. So we would just go look out there and find what authors we liked and hit them up and be like, want to write for us, right? We'll even pay you, right? Just because we wanted to kickstart it. And now we don't really pay that many authors or anything, but sometimes, we did a Google Analytics resource post, and it's by a freelancer, and she's been writing on all these marketing blogs after she started writing on ours. So yeah, we just go out and hunt people down if we have to, but we're in a category where there's a lot of content, right? And there's a lot of people you can find that can write. So that's the caveat. So generally I would say, and even Neil actually, my co-founder, used to write our blog posts back in the day. So the old ones, which are not as good, he wasn't as good of a writer back then, are written by him. But at the end of the day, the one thing unique about us is it is mostly guest writers. And it's a very small team. So our marketing team, and that's total marketing team, those 2 back then and 5 now, not anything else. So yeah, it's led to all these different conversions for us, all these different things, and probably 5 or 6 more I couldn't put on the slide and still make it look like a funnel. It looks like a funnel. So we have 30 plus marketing guys. I know I mentioned that earlier. What I mean by conversion, just to be specific, is if you go to our marketing guides page, which a lot of people actually do because it's top level navigation, you'll get to a page like this, which even has this nice opt-in, which is, would you like a demo of KISSmetrics? We have so far been pretty cool about not hitting you up if you said no or something like that, or if you didn't say yes. But all those pages for the guides do go to an opt-in page. That's what I mean by conversion. Our 70 plus webinars, as part of our process, we turn them into more content, just like everyone does with webinars, and then we have the landing pages. I just wanted to share that because those are just quick tactics we use now that we have a lot of content. And we have those gateway pages up there, infographics, marketing guides, and webinars. We could have put stronger call to actions to sign up there. We decided that if someone's on our blog, they're not ready to buy, they're not ready to sign up, they don't want a demo of our product, they just want more content. So that's been really effective. Out of those three, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all of them are in our top 10 pages on our site. It's kind of obvious because it's navigation, but we have an icon there, and we did it on purpose and tested it, but they're highly trafficked now. And then I want to talk about the story, which is kind of messed up, but like because of the content marketing, and like I said, 90+% of our leads come from it, we were able to grow about over 1,000% in total signups. So this is like, if we had one sign up here, we had 1,145 or something over there, something like that. Maybe that math is wrong, but it's something like that. It's ridiculous. Like it's 4-digit percentage conversion rate. I don't even know. But what happened was late last year, the red line is actually our visits, and the green line is our signups. So Google didn't like us at that point, and we weren't doing anything bad. There's some dumb update they did that bummed out a lot of sites like ours, and we're SEOs, or we used to be. So we didn't do anything. Like we actually purposely have done nothing on the SEO side, like compared to what most sites would do, because we just know that like Google will giveth and they'll taketh away, and they did. But even when they did, we were still able to get more signups because we just spent a lot more time on conversion optimization and kind of pulled out a lot of the tricks that we wanted to, and not even tricks, just things that we wanted to do for a long time that took a little more engineering. And I'm going to give you an example of it. I've shared this before, but like I like sharing it because it's pretty awesome, and I want more people to think like this. This is our homepage. We've changed it already, and there's another test running right now, or two. But this is what it looks like. We have the title. It's very sparse, obviously, at least for us. Some of my other companies are even sparser, but we have a title, headline. It talks about Google Analytics just because everyone uses Google Analytics. Why not? Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. What do we do? Yeah. 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 We suck at that. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my pet peeves. It requires some engineering. Every marketing automation tool out there fucking sucks. You can quote me on that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Do what you got to do. Yeah, I don't like it. Like I said, I got this war against marketing automation, but I won't get into that right now. Anyways, but that was a good question. Yeah, we should be doing better there. Yeah, now I want to talk about my idea on how to do better there, but I'm not gonna. Anyways, so on this homepage, we optimized it to convert really highly. We were able to get a 314% improvement, and I'm just going to talk through some of these quick wins. And I know like homepages are sacred, and there's a lot of back and forth inside of companies, especially the larger the company is, as to who owns this real estate, blah blah blah. I really care about this, so I always push on like doing the right thing and testing everything, and some of the people in our company are into that. So we try to be really protective of our homepage because that's where most of our traffic comes from or comes to. The interesting tests here are, we had the headline, and that one converted like 40 or 50% better, maybe even more than any other headline we'd come with. I believe I was having a conversation with Neil, and we came up with that headline, and I don't like it, and I think we have a better one now, so that's good. That in terms of like conversions, and it worked better because it just talks about Google Analytics, and that kind of sucks. Anyway, so we added the login with Google, which is people could just sign in with Google, so they didn't have to put in their email, and that was huge. That was about a 60% lift. Then we started testing the copy. I still have a few variations I'm really interested in testing, but we tested sign up with Google, sign up with your Google Analytics account, sign up with your Google account, sign in with Google. And it turns out login with Google beat every single one by about 30%. So it was by far the winner. It sounds super weird. There's also another reason this works, because the page looks like the Google Analytics homepage. If you go to google.com/analytics, yeah, our designer, I had to actually stand over his shoulder while he was sitting there and get him to make this landing page in 30 minutes. Otherwise, he was going to freak. And I told him, go inspect the color on the Google Analytics page, the orange and the blue, and we're going to use the same one. Is that okay? And I didn't really say the is that okay part, because I wanted to get the test out fast, and I had a hypothesis. So it turns out that the familiarity is helpful, but it's not as significant as I thought. But I do kind of like the page, so whatever. And then the the form field. Yeah, I mean, I do like to say if we don't have data, then we're just gonna go with my opinion. That's cool, right? So that's what we did there. But we did test it. So that form field of putting in your URL, you'd think if you ask for more on a page that you'd lower the conversion. So most people don't even try stuff like that. So we're kind of crazy. So we tried it, and we got almost a 40% improvement from adding that on top of the login with Google. So I don't know. I think people get committed and they think you're going to do something awesome at the next step, so they'll put in the URL. And then this one was one that I was hesitant on. So this down here, it says, want a 3-minute overview of KISSmetrics, click here. It really just takes you to our features page, but that's a different story. We tested the copy there. I generally don't like distractions on a landing page. Usually we used to keep the footer like below the scroll kind of height thing. So you would only see everything but the footer. That actually added 11% lift on signups because we were actually getting, the people that wanted more info before they signed up, yeah, I know we're bad at that, would actually go hunt and find that link. And it's kind of obvious, it's a blue link, whatnot, and actually find it and click on it and then learn more and sign up on that page. So this is pretty awesome. I don't see too many companies doing optimization like this, but they also might not be getting enough traffic. We get a ton of traffic, so we can run at least a test a week, which is kind of what you should, best practice-wise, what you should be doing. Right, what's that? Yeah, that was key. Like we tested like even one of our team members with his dog and stuff like that. No, dude needs to be looking at the button, period. Like, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. No, it was like if you go to GitHub, they have like a sign up form on the left, right. It looked more like GitHub's page, GitHub's homepage, not like this. Yeah, it was just a different page. I didn't show it because whatever. But yeah. Yeah, it's the matching all that up. I've tested login with Google on other sites now, and you'd be surprised at the results there being even better than this. So the headline's good, but yeah. So like if you go to Neil's Analyzer on quicksprout.com, it has a login with Google. I don't have conversion rate here. I'm not going to tell you, but the conversion rate is quite a bit higher on his homepage than even on this page, and it has nothing to do with Google. So I like your thesis, and that is helpful for our product because people don't know what KISSmetrics is because we get so much traffic on our blog and not enough on our product, and we don't really push our product too hard on it. So again, things could be better. So like, yeah. Other tests in similar traffic, I would assume, but like again, everyone's traffic is different, so that makes a big difference too. And on our blog, we started doing the same thing with the login with Google and the same kind of format up there, and that increased. And we call this a welcome mat. So we have a welcome mat on the blog. It ends up on all the pages, and since we get a lot of traffic, it actually increased the signups from the blog by 33%. So again, content gives you these opportunities that are awesome. And so yeah. Yeah, sometimes we do that. I got to go tell Sean, like, hey, you screwed up. I would have made it 7, but hey. So that's all I got. And I'm sure some of you have questions. I don't know if we have time for what the deal is. So
we got time for questions.
Great.
If you have questions, come
on. I have my email here and my Twitter and all that. So I mean it. How can I help you? Like, happy to help.
If you have questions, come over here with the mic so we can get it.
Cool. Hi. How do you deal with the fact that if you have too much content, it becomes spam like email?
Wait, what do you mean by that? Can you?
So like emails have a 10% open rate to 20% open rate, and the more you send, the less it opens.
So I send a weekly newsletter. It's at hiten.com for all of you. I'm a marketer. I'm sharing my promotion here. It's hiten.com. It's for people in SaaS. It gets 30 to 40% open rate every week. So I think any metric you hear, any benchmark you hear, who gives a shit? Like you make your own benchmark, right? And yeah, I had fluctuations. My first email, which still had a significant number of readers, had a 72% open rate, and I was fucking giddy. But like, it's cut in half now, and I'm still excited because that's still higher than that 10% you said. So I think it's like, I don't know, you could say something like long live email, email is dead or whatever. It's not dead, right? Everyone still reads emails. It's still, especially for like our demographic here, age group, and our generation in general, people read emails, right? And even the younger generations over time, what are they going to do? They're going to be on Slack? Great, we'll start sending spam Slack messages. I don't know, right? But like, yeah, so I don't believe any benchmark I hear unless I can see the data and understand the context. The context is the subject line and all kinds of other things. Like I saw about a 5 to 7% bump in my open rate, not percentage, so like a 20% bump in open rate when I started doing this like DKIM or some crap with the email, right, and set those stupid settings up. And then I got a bump, right, and put it on a different domain, blah, blah, blah. So I think, yeah, in general, I don't believe any benchmarks. I can usually blow them out by just testing and stuff like that.
Hi, thank you so much. I have 2 questions. The first one, I couldn't help but notice the color pink on your slides, and
Yeah.
then you mentioned color psychology. So what is the rationale for having pink slides?
It's a really,
pink was
it's a really stupid one.
Okay.
So I make my own slides. I spend a lot of time doing it. I really care about making sure it's good, right? And I can share it, and I have a method. I don't practice it. So what I do is I'll go, and this is funny, but I'll go to the website of the thing that I'm presenting at. And this website is a little sparse for the Agile Marketing Meetup. And I find the color, and I put it in the background and the header, and I call it a day. Because my template is generally this header thing and these slides, and like then I can just put whatever I want, and I've found a way to make it work. And so the pink is from their website. And there's no psychology besides that. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's from the website. So
Okay.
but I thought it was a cool color for marketers, right? Pink, like why not? Or purple, whatever, fuchsia, whatever. Yeah.
I have a second question. It's kind of short.
Salmon, that's what it is.
So you have my second question is you have a brand new product and you want to, I had this problem, I wanted to hire somebody to do it. So all these different agencies, I just didn't like their styles. So I've just
Do content marketing or?
Yeah, for a new product.
Okay.
And
But for content marketing, like blogging and stuff like
Yes.
that, or
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so I decided that I think the best way is just to recruit a team of paid interns and teach them how to do it in the way that I want them to do it. What do you think is the best way for brand new product, somebody who has no product marketing experience?
Yeah, you might not want to hear this, but like I would, before you did interns or anything else, I'd just write it yourself. Like I'd learn how to write for your audience, to be honest, because you're gonna have.
I already write, but I don't want to write for I don't want to. I need to do 10 times more than what I'm doing now, and like sitting on Facebook all day.
But are you already? So you're talking about social media posting, or you're talking about blogging, or like 'cause
everything?
all that's different.
Like I need someone to create I'm creating content and marketing myself, and I can't do it, so I want to hire people to.
So if you have knowledge and you know how to do it and you know how to write for your audience, the first thing I would do is, assuming you know this, which it sounds like you do, is I'd actually just create a process, like I was mentioning earlier, of like how you do it, and then interns and all that makes sense, but that's only if you have the patience and the time to train them, or someone on your team does that actually knows how to do it. The problem is if you don't know how to do it, I don't think you can teach anyone else how to do it, like in general. Like that.
So where's the best place to go? I think I kind of know the answer, but where's the best place to go if I want to get better? If I don't think I'm good enough to teach them?
You know the answer.
Yeah.
You don't need advice, you need practice. That's my thing on that. So just practice. Yeah. Hey.
Hey there. I'm working on a mid-sized site. It's about like 70K. And the thing is, it's a single-page app. Pretty much the whole thing's a single-page app with a paid product. And there isn't a lot of textual content.
Yeah.
So what sort of thing would you add first to try to drive more traffic? Would you make like a separate blog or?
I need more info to answer that question.
Okay.
You can either give it to me now, I'm happy to hear it, or you can email me. I have like 100 questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Almost.
Maybe I'll
based on
email
what you
them.
said. Yeah.
All right.
Just
all right.
email me.
Thanks.
Yeah. Like literally, I'm not going to give you generic advice, so like just email me. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for sharing all your secrets with us. You haven't even heard the secrets yet. So my question is, I work for a software company, and I'm kind of afraid that people are becoming more like desensitized to types of content like ebooks, and they're not finding them valuable enough in order to, keep their interest going in potentially signing up for a demo for a product.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the new ebook or piece of content You mentioned infographics, which was new to me as being a valuable source. But what do you foresee the future piece of content that will be powerful to be?
Okay, I think it's just like email. What I was talking about email before, like if you can create content regardless of the format and it's valuable to somebody, and literally you can deliver on that value with the quality of the content, it doesn't matter what the delivery mechanism is. So here you're talking about ebooks or even email or webinars, but like at the end of the day, if the content and the quality is valuable and it matches up with what someone wants, it doesn't really matter. Like that's been my experience. Yes,
Got it.
I think there's just a stigma, especially if you're a marketer, that like, oh, all this stuff sucks. Like I don't want to be in another webinar, but like that's not necessarily how your customer feels.
Got it.
Right? They're just doing their job. The amount of webinars you see and get exposed to is probably a lot more than they do, and they're still opting into it. Like all this stuff is opt-in. It's like you decide if you're interested, and if you don't want to, you can unsubscribe to even the emails, right? So I think it's a little bit of a fallacy to believe that these things are dead or that these things are actually that crowded. I think over time they do like lose their effectiveness, and you got to do more tricks on the channel. I actually personally love the idea of what I call rich content. So like, the gentleman before said he had like a one-page app, right? And I'm sure it's a complicated app, but you can build an app really quickly with an engineer or somebody who's even like a front-end engineer. You can build something really quickly that's more like content with like a calculator or a content with like, a quiz, right? So I think we're in an era where like, it's probably likely that you're gonna start seeing more rich content like stuff. Here's the irony though. Most of the time, all that stuff leads to a funnel with ebooks and webinars and shit like that.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
but like the best thing, even on top of that, if you were to ask me what's the best thing, in my opinion, is I don't want to argue about this, but someone will probably beat me up over it. But like, I think if your product was free, that's probably the best marketing you can do.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
So you said you did a lot of testing around odd numbers and headlines.
Sure.
Did you see any kind of correlation on like the number as well, like 37 versus 5?
Yeah, my co-founder Neil, I think the last count was he's written 500 blog posts so far on his blog. I think I looked it up. I don't remember. Maybe it's more. I don't know. I defer to him on this kind of stuff because he actually writes. But from what I know, from what he's told me, is every time I tell him, like I was doing a 30 days of blogging challenge, and I think I picked 11. I wanted to share 11 books, right, that I like, right? And he's like, it needs to be 31. And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know how to blog like you do, like 31. So I think if you just think about humans, right, more is better.
Okay.
So generally, if it's something where the context of more makes sense, great. Like the one with 5 shocking, awesome facts, whatever, social media, whatever, you probably couldn't do 51 and get away with it because the context of that article and that title wouldn't work. Maybe he could have pushed to 7 or maybe 9, but like, so I would really think about the context of the content. But like, if you're going to recommend books, recommend 101.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess this is good because I have a related question, which is, what kind of bump, did you see when you just changed from an odd number to an even number? You made it sound really, really great. So if I switch from like top 10 to top 11, I don't assume I'll see more than like a 10% increase in click-through.
You get more shares, which means you get more traffic.
So it's mostly from a social aspect as opposed to click-through on Google.
You also get more readership though. Like more people will actually read it. It sounds really weird, but like for example, if you look at most of Apple's stuff, like when they try to show you like previews or like images, they always usually have 3 little dots. They don't have 4, they don't have 5, they don't have like, actually they have 5 sometimes, but like it's usually an odd number. So if you even look at a list, like just play this game for me, right? Go to PowerPoint, do a list of 4, do another list of 5, do a list of 7. Just think about how easy it is to parse the 5 or 7 or 3 or even 1 compared to the 2. Well, 2 is okay, but like compared to like the like 8 or whatever. Your brain just can't parse it the same way. So we're used to these odd numbers. There's some science shit out there, some papers out there on it. You can read it, but like that's basically how it works. It's just intuitive to me now because like I've just seen all the data, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the other thing I wanted to comment on was just that you had the numbers with people getting a lot of traffic from search.
Yeah.
My perspective of that has always been that Google is just the #1 website on the web. So do you see like when Facebook, could possibly overtake Google that we should start optimizing for social more just because?
Yeah. So Google is not the #1 site. I could be mistaken there, but maybe I'm not. I don't know.
I'm just going by Alexa. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it is,
I
maybe
think
not.
there's more people.
It's
going
either
through it.
Google, Facebook. They're probably
It does
fighting
kind
it
of
out.
switch around, but
They're probably fighting it out, right? But I don't care about that because it's more about the context of why people go to the site. People don't go to Facebook to click out. People go to Facebook to see stuff about their friends. They are starting to click out. If you were to ask me today, for most businesses, would I invest in Twitter or Facebook or Google? Well, it's Google. So let's take Google out of there. So Twitter or Facebook, I'd probably say Facebook over Twitter right now. But there's one simple, stupid reason. Facebook knows how to grow their user base. Twitter doesn't.
okay.
So what are you going to bet on? Now, I love Twitter. I tweet a lot. I built my brand on Twitter. I don't blog. I tweet. So it's not that I don't like Twitter. It's just if I were a marketer and I need to market my business, I find that Facebook gives me more clicks and attention and all that stuff. So I'd probably go double down on that, especially for a business.
Okay. And then my last question, and this is probably an it depends kind of answer, but is how much time do you spend on pushing out new content versus optimizing successful content? So in other words, like, this content's doing well, you grow the size of the content by 3x because you're like, let's expand on this article way more than the other ones.
I think it's not even diminishing returns. It's like your existing content is actually content. It's very hard to make it better in the format it's in once it's already there. You can do tweaks and get like maybe up to 25 to 50% more traffic, maybe. Like you saw on the infographic, we didn't make any tweaks, but it kept getting it because it was just naturally something that bubbles up. So I'd probably spend more time, just generically speaking, I'd spend more time on new content over existing content. But if you repurpose existing content and turn it into new content, that's a different story, right? So we've done that at KISSmetrics with, a piece of content that we know is popular on the blog turns into an ebook. It might even become a webinar solicitation we do with somebody and say, hey, do you want to blog about this, or do you want to do a webinar with us about this? Because we know that it's a popular topic that people want to read about, listen about, whatever, learn about.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Hi, so one thing that I'm curious about is your opinion on things like paid content amplification networks like Outbrain or like native advertorial type things, and like, are they even worth like really trying out, or is it something that more organic growth should be focused on for content marketing?
Yeah, you want to test everything, right? If you think it's an opportunity for you. I really think about some of those products and think about who mostly buys those products. Like you can see that from their customer list. And if you look at their customer list and you think that a company like yours bought a product like that, I'd actually call them up and be like, hey, what did they do with your product? Because I'm just like that. And then just try to learn first. So my approach in curiosity like that with like, if I have to pay another company and it's not like a self-serve ad system or something, or even if it is self-serve, figure out if it is really effective and what the context is. Because a lot of the times you'll find that Outbrain and a lot of those tools, the big brands use them because they want to boost something, right? But not necessarily because they're trying to start something or grow something from kind of what a startup or a smaller business might do. Not to say that those things are bad. It's just that in our experience, we're really good at creating content and getting organic traffic. So we don't tend to look at a lot of the paid channels like that. I've looked at them and looked at the case studies, but when I go to the customer list, I'm like, there's nobody there that's like me, like my business. So, and that's not necessarily means I shouldn't do anything with it. It just means that I'm going to have to get creative and learn how this channel is going to work for me. So then it becomes a, should I invest in that or not? Right? So that's the exact kind of thought process that goes through my head with tools like that.
Thanks.
Hey, so I actually work for ShareThrough. We do native advertising. My question.
I know the founders very well.
Very cool. Yeah. So my question is your thoughts or your advice on like blogging on a sort of unbranded or like sub-brand that's not the company name.
Because that's what you're doing a share through? Or tell me more.
Yeah. So we own nativeadvertising.com,
That's
and
right.
we're basically getting ready to like spin up a native advertising blog on there, but also needing to like talk about ourselves and do data, interesting things on our own blog.
I guess the tidbit I give you is at KISSmetrics, because the blog's so popular, nobody knows what our product is. And we're on the same domain, right? And you could say it's because it's blog dot and not /blog, but that's not it. It's that people come with a context of, I want to consume content, so give me more content. Don't try to get me to sign up for your tool. So if I was asked about that earlier before you guys went on this adventure, I would have gave you advice more like make native advertising some kind of portal, do your blogging on your main blog, and make it richer or something different all around everything about native advertising instead of blogging. That's probably what I would have said. And if you want to start a blog that's like a blog format, do it on your own blog. And the reason is I think there's a lot of confusion that happens in people's minds when you start doing stuff like this. So then you have to do a lot of work. You have to start putting share through as a priority in logo and then native advertising below it and get people to really understand. But like, why would you want to do that extra work if you don't have to, right? So that would be my advice. So if you guys would have asked me, I would have told you that.
Cool, that's helpful. I'll follow up with you another time.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Love the color post, by the way, the color blog.
Have you read it before?
Oh yeah.
In the infographic?
I think that 2013 spike was actually me.
Oh, there we go. Awesome.
I love it because it makes people think about segmentation in a different way than they usually do.
Right.
And I really love it for that. Have you done an ebook on that yet?
Yeah, there's one. There's a marketing guide. There's a marketing guide. I just saw it today. Yes.
Oh man.
It's already in there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There's follow-up infographics too.
Thanks for sharing on like tips on how to write a better blog post and content and everything. So I would just like to ask on the promotion side of the content. So for example, for a blog that doesn't have a lot of fan base or readership, where do you promote and how do you promote these content and articles?
Sure. Beg, borrow, lie, steal. If you don't have traffic, beg, borrow, lie, steal. So
like just anywhere.
Find people you can email, get your friends to share it, bother the shit out of people. You don't have an audience, go get a fucking audience, right? Like, and do whatever you got to do. Like, I don't have a better answer. I can give you a dumb answer. I can point to some slides, but at the end of the day, it's like you don't have any audience, you don't have any traffic, and your content is valuable, then of course you should tell the whole world about it. And then eventually more people come, but you got to make sure your content's valuable. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And if you don't know if it's valuable, get your friends to read it or somebody you respect to read it and go, hey, am I full of shit or not before you publish it, right? So people tend to do that, and I think that works. But yeah, whatever you got to do, like,
Got it. Thanks.
Hey, great presentation. What advice would you give somebody trying to start a company blog or two-part question, company blog or webinars around the company product?
Yeah, it's one of those questions where I have more questions. So I don't think a blog, as I said before about kind of how I think about it and the traffic levels you need and all that, I don't think it's something that you should just start because everyone's starting a blog, right, on their company. I think you should really look at, is there already enough content in the space? Can I be a top blog in my space for my audience? With KISSmetrics, we already knew we could. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. If we were in some other category, like food blogging or food, I don't know if we would have done that unless we built a niche blog for food. Because there's so much food content out there that I'm not sure. I mean, there's more food content out there than marketing content out there, right? And so we looked at all the things out there, and it wasn't even just like, oh yeah, there's a lot of marketing content, we think we can be a top blog. It was more like, there's a lot of marketing content, it's light, and marketers are hungry for information because their jobs depend on all these trends and all these shifts happening, right? We can write really rich, strong, branded content that's like very informative and helpful, and so we think we can build a significant blog in the category doing that, right? And there was a pattern of these blogs that have done that. So the SEO Moz or now moz.com blog, the HubSpot blog, which I would call more snacky content because of their audience, but it's still a great blog for their audience, right? So my advice first would be, do you even need a blog? Is there a better way to reach your customers? And I'll give you a couple ideas. So instead of a webinar, I might actually do an email. Like I have an email list because I'm better at curating than writing because I just don't have the patience to sit down and write, but I'll talk your head off. But and so I do it's called SaaS Weekly. It's on Hiten.com. See, another plug. I'm a marketer. And I curate the best links for anyone in SaaS. And I can say that because I keep getting emails back that people say this is the best newsletter and tweets and shit like that, right? But I'm really good at finding good content. I'm better at that than creating it. So I decided that I'm going to do that instead of start a blog about SaaS. I might even start a blog about SaaS, though, because now I can get traffic because I have an email list, but like, whatever. My point is that like, I think email is powerful. If I were to pick blog or email first, or even blog, email, webinar, ebooks, whatever, I'd probably go for an email list because I think people still open emails, it gets their attention, and you can always find some point of view that's possible in email, like even a 7-day course, or like my email list of curating the best of X every week for your audience and stuff like that. So I'd probably go for email and then figure out how to drive the email sign up somehow.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great talk. Thanks so much. I do a lot of content marketing and am always tempted to outsource it and maybe ghostwrite.
Yeah.
And I don't do any right now, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on ghostwriting and outsourcing.
Yeah, so we do that on the KISSmetrics blog. I'd say, like I was saying before, it's 80-90% written by people that don't work in our company. I'd say a majority of it is people who want attention from our audience and want to reach our audience, and then we have freelancers, right? So just based on my own experience there, I think it's great. The one caveat is just make sure that whether it's ghostwritten or someone else is writing it, that it's the quality is high enough and your audience is going to love it. And as long as you do that, it doesn't matter where it came from, in my opinion. Now, there's one caveat, and the caveat I'll give you is if you are writing a blog and you're trying to build your personal brand, then I'd either go for ghostwriting so that you can put your name on it and no one else's, or I'd write it yourself. But the quality is the number one thing, no matter what. So yeah, that'd be my advice. But from a personal brand standpoint, I would kind of do that as much as possible yourself.
One thing I just wanted to add is I like the ghostwriting idea because I think it adds some validation. If you're curating and you're making sure that it's, if you're a thought leader and you're sure that it's quality content, then by ghostwriting you're putting your stamp of approval, even if it's a no-name author.
Well, and there's kind of a pseudo way to do it, right? So I have friends that have processes around, I wouldn't even call it ghostwriting, it's more like help writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've tried this before, but again, blogging's not for me, I don't think. But a blog post is about a 20-minute call. So if you call somebody and you talk to them for 20 minutes, they structure it, they write a lot of it, and then you finish it off, you can do a blogging like that, and it works. You just have to find someone that can take your thoughts, write somewhat in your voice, and get like 80-90% of it done for you. That's one approach. Another approach I've seen is you can take a Google Doc or whatever, Quip, whatever, and write an outline, put a bunch of links on like content from other places, ideas, whatever, and then just throw it at somebody and see if they can make a blog post out of it. So tactically, if I were to do what you're thinking, I'd test both those methods if you don't think you have the time. Like for me, I can sit in my car and get 3 blog posts done by talking to a person for an hour,
Totally.
right?
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Sweet. Last one, anybody?
Thanks so much.
All right, great. Thank you.